Little boxes on the hillside, little boxes made of ticky-tacky, little boxes on the hillside, little boxes all the same. And there's doctors and lawyers and business executives, and they're all made out of ticky-tacky, and they all look just the same. And the people in the houses all went to the university where they were put in boxes, and they came out all the same.
Opioid epidemic.
Opioid overdose.
Escalating opioid addiction.
Opiates are infiltrating.
The drug is surging. Fentanyl so potent.
The medical community has been overprescribing opioids.
Losing their friends to overdose. Kids, they're dying. 27,000 babies were born addicted to opioids.
More than 20 million adults have a substance use problem.
America is in the midst of an
The video we're about to show you is disturbing. They're dying in their parents' homes. Shaking the Sammamish community. 2 teenagers are dead from the same drug.
2 teenagers who come here to Skyline High died of the same drug overdose.
School officials are calling it a crisis.
Here in Seattle, we're watching one of our community members die every single day. Carolyn Downs and Country Doctor are at the forefront of addressing this epidemic here in Seattle.
When you say the word opioid, what comes to mind is...
What comes to my mind? Hardship.
Addiction. Hell. Pills, but hell.
If I hear the word opioid, the thing that comes to my mind is pain.
Both of my best friends OD'd and died.
My OBOT patient, a patient who's been lost to me for 9 months, I always think that maybe he's dead. That's not a good feeling.
14 of my friends have died from opiate overdoses.
She was 21. We hadn't seen her for a month. She was in our program, but she had already relapsed, and I had been calling her, but, you know.
My dad didn't think I was gonna live, just waiting for something terrible to happen.
Her mother found her just in her bed. She had overdosed.
When it comes to these pills, everybody at first thought they were okay. It's killing people.
I went to a good school, affluent parents.
3 weeks later, that I had called her is when we found out, and I thought, well, what if I would have called one more time, you know? I remind myself I'm the co-pilot, you know, not.
I know a lot of people who have been affected by opiate use. My sister, my dad.
My wife and I, we were married for just going on 24 years. She wanted a divorce. It just messed up the kids.
The mental addiction.
Struggling out on pills for 15 years. My nice little middle-class pill habit.
The thing about OBOT patients is this could be anybody. It could be your brother, your sister, your parents. Opioids can take hold on anybody, and when they do that, they hold on really, really tight, and it's very hard to help people break away.
The OBOT program really began. Graduates from the residency program at Swedish Cherry Hill and the Carolyn Downs residence laid down the roots for the model of care, which is really nurse-driven, or a nurse care model.
How nice it's been to have you and your daughters with us here.
What's really unique about our model here, we treat addiction and opioid use disorder as the chronic disease that we now understand it is.
Our program is different because all of us who work with OBOT patients, we personalize it. We want them to know that they're accepted and that they can come to us no matter what's going on.
That's something to be super proud of. That's why I'm so proud of you. You've like saved yourself, man.
We have a holistic set of services. We have behavioral health services, nursing, and we have a whole team, and really you need a whole team to help manage opioid use disorder.
Little boxes on the hillside, little boxes made of ticky-tack.
Parents divorced when I was kindergarten, first grade, right around there. It was always moving around, you know, we're at mom's house, we're at dad's house, we're at mom's boyfriend's house. We were latchkey kids.
I had a corner lot in Bothell. My other house in Bellevue, my wife at the time had an in-home daycare, so we had it all decked out.
I was born in a trailer park in East Texas. I didn't know who my daddy was. My mama was a junkie. When you're a little kid, you don't have any power to protect yourself. So I just wanted to be invisible.
The inside of the house, all of us, like the Christmas tree, hanging the ornaments. That's one thing Audrey always said. I miss the family holidays, Dad.
I was following the prescription just fine, and I had to take more just to function. It was like that for a few years while I was prescribed them.
I am an opiate addict. I am a patient at Country Doctors. I start law school on Monday.
When I was 13, my tailbone had broken. I had to remove it.
I had 5-foot surgeries, 2 bone infusions.
The doctor prescribed me Vicodin.
I lost everything. I lost my house, my job, my money, all in the first year.
I wasn't abusing it, but I got a taste for it.
When I walked out of prison alone, I had been on opiates 3 times a day for 15 years.
After I was prescribed oxycodone, eventually I was no longer prescribed them. I was not the person I used to be.
I would always try to keep the addiction to myself. I was ashamed of it.
I decided one day I was just gonna stop taking. I ended up in the hospital. If it wasn't for Audrey, I probably would have OD'd.
It was a crazy number to give a 13-year-old.
I was prescribed morphine, and then they set me on a regimen of weaning myself off.
It doesn't change the fact, because it was prescribed to me, that I didn't become an addict.
I'm not gonna hang around long enough to see my grandkids graduate from high school. I'm gonna die.
And then it started. A hell that I've never experienced before.
When we think about sort of how we got to this problem here in the United States, I think we can look back a lot to the prescribing practices that we've had for opioids for a long time.
I hated every day of my existence. I was just dead inside, but I didn't know how to get clean from opioids without some kind of help.
As primary care providers, we now have the availability of buprenorphine, which is a powerful life-saving treatment. The pharmacology is quite elegant. It's an opioid partial agonist, and it has what we call a ceiling effect. That ceiling effect means that people don't die from overdosing on it, and they have their cravings well controlled.
You know, when the pills run out, this can sound horrible. I remember watching this thing on the news one night about the heroin market that was under the Burnside Bridge in Portland. And I'd never done heroin, and I went down and tried it. Like, that's how desperate I became. It was very dangerous.
In the past, traditional models kind of said, you need to get all your life in order, you need to do counseling, engage in healthcare, and then we'll start giving you this medication.
I was doing really good, and then bam, withdrawals. Horrible withdrawals.
Just screaming in pain. It feels like somebody is crushing your bones from the inside out.
The OBOT program, we give people medication first, they stabilize, and then on their own engage in behavioral health care. They start coming to primary care appointments, and they're able to just move forward with their life once they stabilize on this medication.
It's so excruciatingly painful to get clean. I tried it, and it wasn't very successful. So when this was offered to me, I jumped on it.
Low barrier care is absolutely critical when we think about treating opioid use disorder or an addiction in general. People will have some kinds of life chaos. They may go off of their medication and then go back on. They may return to use briefly.
Maybe they aren't going to completely stop using opioids, but we're going to give them medication so that there's less risk of death. And during that time, we're going to establish a relationship with them. And this is the special thing that Country Doctor can do, is we show them that we're going to just keep on going until we get where we need to go.
Look at him too. I was like, did you bite your sleep? And he looks away.
Not me.
Like, I try to let them know that someone cares. I care about their life. I care about their health. I care if they come next week. I treat them with dignity, respect and dignity.
Country Doctor has held my hand. They have gone to the extreme. I meet with my provider even now, 2 years later, like every month.
It's a lot of conversation about them being worthy, and they just have a disease that we're helping them treat.
When I walked out of prison alone, got into a car, drove straight here, and from that moment, I don't think I've ever been treated so respectfully.
Low barrier care is meeting the patient where they are. That is what I think makes the difference.
When we look at folks who are using substances, the one really foundational factor that we see from most folks is that there is some history of trauma in their life that leads them to an opioid use disorder.
The trauma that patients are dealing with, that trauma cannot be undersold.
You know, I was pretty suicidal for a long time. To get myself to go to sleep at night, I would plan my death.
At the same time, I ended a 7-year-long relationship. My parents didn't live in Washington at the time. I really didn't have a whole lot of people. I was really depressed.
Trying to numb the pain.
Just take an extra pill here, an extra pill there. I had no idea it could transfer to mental addiction.
She was just my soulmate. She overdosed and she died. And it just destroyed me.
Helping people even just be open to talking about how they got where they are, that's really what's gonna help them move to the next level. We do refer patients to our behavioral health here. We have what's called a warm handoff, so we can actually just call the behavioral health on the walkie and they'll come right down. They'll meet with the patient for about 10 or 15 minutes. That can often be the thing that gives them some hope to get through another week.
My life was not worth living before I got this help. No. And now, my life is worth living. I have a pretty good life.
I wake up in the morning and I don't have to worry about anything besides enjoying life and being happy.
I got my old Audrey back. You know, I didn't like the Audrey before, and I'm sure you didn't like the dad that you had before, too.
This is a whole family that's sort of reunited and staying together because of their ability to put their disease in remission.
What do I want? For them to have a secure and stable life and household.
I'm just really happy. Just really happy.
That's what I want. And I want a couple of kids, and I want a house, and I want all of those things that I didn't see as being options. And now they are. They're right there. I'm so close.
But people like Kyle remind us why it's so important to do this. They can have a great outcome. They can be someone. That's why respect and letting them keep their dignity is so important, because you can help build someone up from feeling like nothing.